Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. Ask me how we got here, 'cause you don't know how. You say we're taking on water, yeah, we're sinking now. You're looking all concerned, like we're gonna drown. But we both know how to swim, no worries as we'll fall now. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. I drag you out your mind, and there are days I hate you, but baby, you're still mine. And then we have the best times, no matter what we do. And even when we don't, there's nobody I'd rather choose. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Really do appreciate your time. Today is June 28th, 2024, 7:38 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. Thank you all for joining me in chat. Hello, hello. Thank you so much. So we have been covering this case since it first broke, and it has been a few months that this has been going on. So there is this, and there's a lot of them out there, and I think this should be a wake-up call to parents. And I feel horrible, absolutely horrible for these parents that lost their son just 24 hours after he went to this wilderness retreat camp. And regardless, whenever you send your child off to a camp or anything where, you're not monitoring, what is going on, your child should not end up in a body bag 24 hours later. And it is terrible. And now we have a ruling from the coroner that this child was murdered. This is a homicide. This is ruled a homicide. A homicide. It's beyond. Tia Michelle, thank you so much for 2 months, my dear. Please pray for Barbados and the Caribbean might have a hurricane come Sunday night, Monday. We are keeping you in our prayers. To say the least, we will keep you in our prayers. I did see that there was possible hurricanes could come through there, so just praying that it goes right around and goes back out to sea and it harms nobody. And Nancy Grace has been covering this as well. It's Jude's birthday. Yay! We get to sing the happy birthday to our sweet, sweet Hey Jude. Can you imagine how the parents must feel? You can't trust anyone. And let's just be honest, guys. There is nobody that will care for your kids like you, ever. Ever. Because nobody loves your kids like you. Now, Paris Hilton has spoke out tremendously on these type of camps because she has some real trauma, PTSD because of these camps. And whenever someone, you're in your home, whether you're a troubled child or not, can you imagine laying in your bed in the middle of the night, someone comes, wakes you up and says, we can do it the easy way or the hard way. You're coming with us. And there's your parents are not going to do anything about it because they want to send you there because they don't know what else to do. And I sympathize with parents who have, a hard, a child that's acting out, but sending your kids to a place like this, in my opinion, doesn't do anything but make them never trust you again. Now, I went to camp when I was a kid. I went to 4-H camp. I was in 4-H so many years, and it was different than this type of camp, I would say, because 4-H is generally, animals or projects that you can do. This is for troubled children, and where they basically take them out into the wilderness and they camp, and somehow maybe they are supposed to connect with nature and all of this. I just don't think at that age you can really self-reflect that deeply. That's just my opinion, though. Yeah, we have been covering this case since it did come out into the news, that is. Guys, do me a favor. If you haven't yet, I would greatly appreciate it if you would hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing and hit that notification bell so you won't miss a thing. Is there anyone else's birthday today? The, correct, Spirit. Correct. Oh, thank you, Chris. Yep. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. But you guys make up the channel. It's you guys that make this channel what it is, in my opinion. Um, they want to bully the kids into behaving. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And every kid is different, and not all children respond to that one treatment that they're getting at these places. Um, so there's that. All right. So let me show you some stuff. Oh, let me sing happy birthday to our beloved mod and friend, Hey Jude. Any other birthdays? Any other birthdays? Oh, I hope you feel better, D. I'm sorry. Could that be where Sebastian is? I know a lot of people has thought that maybe they, put Sebastian in some type of camp or something like that. I personally don't think that is an option. I just don't personally. Yeah, Spirit, we're gonna get to all of that stuff because they have alarms set on the bivvies that they sleep in. Alarms. And this kid was thrashing around at night. You are the best. You're my favorite on YouTube in the world. Oh, thank you, my dear. It's so good to see you, Ash. Thank you, baby. I love you too. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Really does mean a lot. Thank you, my dear. All right. So this is my rendition of Marilyn Monroe that she sang to John F. Kennedy while she was banging him years ago. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, hey Jude. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, hey Jude. Happy birthday. And many more. Wishing you health, wealth, happiness, and whatever your heart desires that is good. Happy birthday, my dear. Hope you are enjoying your day. All right. So let's get on this story. Got a lot to talk about. This is the links that everything that I speak about will be in the description below for you guys that are live here and for the replay crew. All links will be provided in the description as well. This came out in February 23rd, 2024. I know it was back in the winter whenever I was speaking about this, or it was probably late winter. So, oh, it's not my birthday. It's Hey Jude's birthday. It's Hey Jude's birthday. Let's see. Thank you, though.
details on life at a North Carolina wilderness camp where a 12-year-old boy died earlier this month.
That's right. The camp is called Trails Carolina. And tonight we're hearing from a camper who describes the sleeping method they use for children when they first arrive at the camp.
WBTV's chief investigative reporter Nick Oxner is
It's a little
digging deeper
low.
in a story you'll see only on WBTV.
I immediately went through a list in my head of like the ways that I was treated that could have caused his death.
Vic Mitterando went to Trails Carolina for 3 months in 2017 and 2018. He's speaking out now in the wake of the 12-year-old boy who died during his first night at the camp. A search warrant filed by criminal investigators described how the boy had to sleep that night in a bivy bag strung up on a thick piece of plastic with an alarm that would go off if he moved. It's a slightly different version of a contraption Mitterando and other former campers have described having to sleep in themselves, called a burrito.
You read maybe the details of the contraption that they said he was sleeping in. Did it sound like the burrito to you?
Yeah, the restrictive component of it was the same, yeah. I remember I was on burrito for 2 weeks, and I remember not being able to sleep because
2
I
weeks.
could not move. I could not breathe very well. It was just kind of like a cocoon.
What's going through your mind as you're laying in this contraption?
A lot of it is like, what did I do to deserve this?
We would lay on a tarp and then they'd wrap it over us, restraining us from any movement.
So you can't move
I'm like, you had to stay like this the whole time.
for the whole night?
Mm-hmm.
And as you're...
I mean, they are sending it's this contraption, which I showed what it was. It's called a bivy. Do y'all know what a bivy is? It's one of these things. One of these things right here. Right? And there's like kind of like a rope thingy that goes over it and an alarm. Debbie, thank you so very much, my dear, for gifting one pearl necklace. Yay! We got a new pearl. If you received that pearl necklace from our beloved Debbie, please give her a big thank you. It's not every day someone buys you a pearl necklace, right? Give Debbie a big, big thank you. Thank you so much, Debbie. Hey, Jude, thank you, my dear. You guys are so sweet. You guys are so sweet. I love you all. Thank you for gifting. Thank you for that, rather. And you're very, very sweet. Thank you, Hey Jude. Very sweet. Love you to pieces. Shirley, I love your channel. You barely have time to sleep at all the time you dedicated to us. You are real kind and don't bash all of the creators. No. Thank you so much, Shirley. That's very sweet of you. Really do appreciate it. What a contraption to sleep in. I mean, people sleep in these, when they're camping and all of that, but damn, they don't have an alarm on it. I just have never seen anything like it. Just never seen anything like it. Yeah, Sharon, I did speak about this. We have talked about this case, but it was back in the winter. It was this kid that his parents sent them off, but they removed mesh and installed alarms on them. Correct. Yes. Yep. This is a little low.
Laying there. That can't be comfortable.
Mm-mm.
What's going through your mind?
Well, at that point for me, I just didn't understand by the people that were my role models in my life, like my parents. I just didn't understand, why would any parent send their kid here?
This 14-year-old girl, whose parents asked we not use her name, went to Trails Carolina in 2022.
When I heard about the death at Trails, it hurt me a lot more than I thought it would, because my first reaction was I made it out but he didn't.
The Transylvania County Sheriff's Office said the medical examiner has ruled the 12-year-old boy's death as unnatural, but no cause of death has been announced.
These are kids. These are kids who are depressed and anxious.
Now that we got to remember, this is in February. Okay. This was in February when we started speaking about this. Now it has been ruled a homicide. Triangel, thank you, darling. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Very sweet. Thank you. So there is that. We're going to cover what Nancy spoke about this. She's been on this case as well. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, this is from May, has revoked Trails Carolina license after a 12-year-old boy was found dead in February. The revocation takes place 60 days after May 17th, citing violation in multiple general statutes covering medication requirements, rights within 24 hours, indecent response request, a least restrictive alternative, and protection from harm, abuse, negligent, and exploitation. Wow. The camp does not, the camp does have an option to file a petition for a consent case hearing. The camp must file a petition within the 60 days of the order to contest the revoke. The revocation of Trails Carolina license comes after camp staff met with the North Carolina DHHS in April to review violations the state agency found against the camp during a survey. Half a dozen rulings and fines from North Carolina DHHS were upheld. Multiple violations of medication requirements and accompanying $3,000 penalty, violations of protection from harm, abuse, neglect, exploitation, and accompanying a $15,000 penalty, suspension of admissions, and intent to revoke license were also upheld. The move and administration actions were based on results of a recent inspection, according to multiple letters sent to the camp. Now, there is that, right? The staff that was working there has not been allowed to speak or won't speak about anything related to this child's death. Can you imagine? You would think they would be doing everything that they can possibly to speak with authorities, working with them, but they're not. They're absolutely not. This has now been ruled a homicide. Someone killed someone or someones are responsible for the death of this child. Now, Nancy is on this.
This little boy's death has been ruled a homicide. With me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now, including an investigative reporter, a renowned medical examiner, a therapist, and importantly, the co-founder CEO of Unsilenced, a victim of the troubled teen industry and a beautiful young woman who attended the camp at just age 12, like this little boy. As I like to do with juries when I can, let's go back to when this happened and hear the 911 call.
This is an actual 911 call, by the way.
12,
This is
1,
it.
2. Medic 8, Medic 4, CPR is being given at this time. I asked if they had somebody out to flag y'all. It's hanging at just behind the 500 building.
Now, so at right here, they're trying to give this child CPR. I do too, Debbie. I do too. But it appeared as if this child had been deceased longer than what, when the 911 call took place. This child was experiencing panic attacks whenever he got there. And then can you imagine the mind fuck that these kids endure? 1 minute you're sleeping in your bed, the next minute 2 men take you out either any way they have to, and make no bones about it, throw you in a vehicle, and you're off to a place and people you have no idea who they are. You are not comfortable with them, and you already are troubled. I can't imagine. And then they throw you in this bivvy and they tell you not to move, and go to sleep. And if you move, an alarm's going to be set off, and you're already having panic attacks.
Losing contact with the subject. Poor service. I'm here and I don't see nobody nowhere.
I mean, my stars, you've got a little boy dying or dead on your watch.
Yes.
It's just been ruled homicide. This camp is full of counselors and kids, and they don't have anybody out there to direct the ambulance to the right location in a giant wilderness camp. I mean, before I go to Nick Oxner, investigative producer.
Yeah, they're having trouble getting even the ambulance there, it appears.
And chief investigative reporter, WBTV, to Dr. Eric Eason, renowned forensic pathologist. Dr. Eason, for lack of a better term, that's BS. I mean, look, my dad had one cardiac event.
Yes, it is absolutely legal for them to take you because your parents are paying, in some cases, thousands or hundreds of dollars a day to send you there. So yes, this happened to Paris Hilton, and this has been one of her life's work. And she has talked out about it in recent years. $30,000 a week. In some cases, yes, insurance will cover.
As doctors like to say, after the next. One of us, my mom, will be performing CPR. Another one of us will be out in the driveway waving, trying to flag down the ambulance. I mean, every second counts. And guess what? They saved his life more than once. So here we got the ambulance just driving around the camp, just for starters, trying to find the little boy. I mean, have you ever heard anything like it? A camp full
Ginger.
of
It's been ruled a
counselors. They're
homicide.
supposed to be trained in CPR and doing the right thing.
Yeah, I've never heard anything like that before myself. It wasn't a remote area, so maybe that had something to do with it. But yeah, sounds like it was pretty disorganized.
Okay, and that's just exactly what you don't need. Hey, remote area, that looks pretty swank to me. Parents paying thousands of dollars to send their children. This isn't even a teen. He's 12 years old, from New York, thousands of miles away in the middle of the wilderness, and nobody can even get the ambulance to the boy to try to save his life. Okay, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
So this is the place right here. Right here. Let me see if I can show you this real quick. Unimaginable. Unimaginable.
In early February. Well, today we got the autopsy determining how that boy died. The medical examiner ruled that his death was a homicide. Specifically, the autopsy found that he died essentially by being suffocated inside what's called a bivy sack, a sleeping bag that zips all the way shut. The autopsy says that staff members at that Trails Carolina camp zipped the solid outer piece because the mesh piece that was supposed to enclose that boy was torn. So we don't know what's going to happen criminally yet. We do know that the autopsy was the last piece the sheriff was waiting on before moving forward with their criminal investigation. The sheriff today now says that they're studying that autopsy and will consult with prosecutors. We're going to continue to look at and stay on top of the very latest.
Now, it is awful. It's just freaking believable.
Listen.
On the line, they said they had to go to the office to call. Said it, they woke up, subject was still in the bed unresponsive. Hey, I think I got him.
The bed unresponsive.
31. When you get to my truck, from all the way out through here, get to my truck, come by that cabin, and up the hill. This is a hike. Copy that. 8-1, I'm showing you on scene. I'm almost here.
So the counselors get told there's something wrong, and now they say they had to go to the office to make the call. And then we find out the counselors and staff won't cooperate with the investigation. Listen.
Yep, not cooperating, guys.
The Transylvania County Sheriff's Office said when they arrived at Trails Carolina for an unresponsive participant, medics found evidence that CPR had been performed, but the child appeared deceased for some time. But now, in an odd twist of...
This child had been deceased for some time. Somebody needs to be going to jail for this, in my opinion.
Trust, the Wilderness Therapy Camp in North Carolina is refusing to allow investigators to talk to staff or juveniles present when the 12-year-old died. According to a search warrant, the boy suffered a panic attack the night he arrived at the camp, and the next morning he was found cold, stiff, and frothing at the mouth. Not being able to talk to staff or campers, it is unclear what caused the boy to present with frothing from the mouth. According to an affidavit from the detective that got the search warrant, froth about the mouth could indicate he ingested some sort of poison.
First of all, I gave up cursing when the twins were born, but every way, every term I can think of to describe this would break that vow. For those of you just joining us, a shock coroner's report reveals that a 12-year-old little boy is dead at Trails Carolina Wellness Camp due to homicide. First of all, I want to go to Nick Oxner joining us.
Yeah, I mean, there can be other reasons why foam can be coming from the mouth. But, you know, did they give this kid medicine? Did they give this kid medicine? This kid was thrashing around in his bivvy. What the hell were they giving to this kid? What the hell were they doing to this kid? Unbelievable.
Producer, chief investigative reporter at WBTV, and he has been investigating Trails, Carolina since May 2021. Okay, Nick Oxner.
So this gentleman here has been looking at Trails, Carolina since way before this child died. He was not epileptic, no.
Thank you for being with us.
But
it raises.
But also, being not epileptic doesn't mean you don't have a seizure for whatever reason.
Huge red flag when witnesses and employees
No
will
pants
not
or underwear.
cooperate with LE law enforcement. That's a concern.
Yes.
I think it was a concern to the sheriff, and he highlighted that lack of cooperation in the public and statements that he's made, that his deputies couldn't get information about what happened on the scene, and they've continued investigating.
You have been investigating this camp, the so-called therapeutic camp. Therapeutic. $4,900 the last time I looked to enroll.
Well, it wasn't even 24 hours. I mean, he got there that night. He's dead. At some point during that night, he is dead. No pants, no underwear, foaming of the mouth. He's having anxiety attacks. Who do they have running this place?
Up to $700+ a day for a 12-year-old to do what? Walk around the trails and have 3 hots and a
$700 a day, and the average stays there 3 months. $715 a day, $4,900 enrollment fee, 2 deaths since opened, license revoked May 17, 2024.
a cot. I mean, nearly $800 a day, $5,000 enrollment fee. Why did you, Nick Oxner, begin investigating Trails, Carolina?
Yeah, we got a phone call from a concerned parent whose child almost went there. And essentially that phone call said, I've looked into this place and done my own homework, and maybe you ought to look into it as well. And actually, Nancy, what we found is that the children attending Trails, Carolina, most of the time don't even get a cot. They're actually sleeping in a sleeping bag or a sleeping mat, either in a cabin or out in the wilderness. And that's just emblematic. I say that because emblematic of the kind of experience they're getting at this facility.
How did the whole thing start? Listen.
The parents of a 12-year-old boy think Trails, Carolina might be just the place to help their son. Trails, Carolina claims to be a leader in wilderness therapy, offering an adventure wilderness program for children who have behavioral and/or emotional difficulties. The parents say their boy is transported by 2 men from New York to Trails, Carolina camp at Lake Toxaway, North Carolina. Their son arrives at the camp in an agitated state. The 12-year-old is loud and disruptive, but he is assigned to a cabin with other children as well as 4 adults. In less than 24 hours, the 12-year-old is dead. Sheriff Chuck Owenby says an autopsy.
So guys, here's I was looking at the WBTV is covering this pretty extensively, and there is an 11-year-old, unrelated to this, completely unrelated to this, but it's nonetheless with a youth group. Child 11 years old dies after medical emergency while on youth group trip to water park. A juvenile was transported to the hospital and sadly passed away. It did not appears as if the incident is water related. This isn't a camp, but it's a youth group. Just got that in.
Autopsy is being
Crazy.
conducted because the death appeared suspicious since the boy died at the camp less than 24 hours after he arrived.
A boy dead, just 12 years old, 24 hours after getting to camp, having panic attacks, upset. I wonder why. Found dead without
Exactly.
his pants on. Joining me in addition to Nick Oxner from WB-TV, Leanne Roberts is joining us, a beautiful young woman who attended Trails Carolina, age 12, just like this little boy. Leanne, thank you for being with us. Tell me about your experience at Trails Carolina.
Yeah, so from the very first minute that you're there, it's pretty traumatizing. The first thing that they have you do is, conduct a strip search, and everything you have is taken from you. And that kind of set the tone for the rest of my stay there. I experienced, and witnessed things that no 12-year-old ever should, no child ever should, no person ever really should, all in the name of therapy, which we actually weren't even really receiving. We saw a therapist once to maybe 2 times a week. So, I mean, yeah,
Why?
Just horrible.
This kid could have been DRUG and ARD. You don't know. There's a lot of perverts that work at these places. I didn't, Pearl Girl. No, I didn't. Strip searched, yes.
Well, there were, we weren't getting enough food. At 12 years old, I enrolled at 90 pounds and I left at 80. So that's 10 pounds over a 3-month span. I spent Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's there. We weren't given enough adequate gear for the weather, the temperature. So we got to like negative 20 degrees and we had 2-3 layers max of really thin clothing. Just some horrific stuff.
I'm trying to take in everything that you were saying, but you gave me so much information. I've got to dissect it. You said that you, as a 12-year-old little girl, saw things that no child nor anyone should ever see, such as what?
On many occasions, I saw my friends' faces being pushed in the ground when being put on a restrictive hold.
Restrictive hold.
I, experienced and watched my friends.
It's so interesting how they come up with these terms, restrictive hold. You know what I mean? It means they're holding you down while you're throwing a fit.
Be so emotionally manipulated. We had
Bullshit.
a problem when I was there with understaffing, and
There you go.
They wouldn't have enough staff sometimes to facilitate bathroom breaks, and so that meant that instead of letting us use the restroom, they would rather us pee our pants. And so in a solution to that, because we weren't doing laundry, we weren't getting showers, everyone smelled of urine.
Yep, they would rather you pee yourself, right? Urinate all over yourself, then let you guys, because they take you to the bathroom. Now listen to what else she says here.
And they threatened and, for some girls, distributed adult diapers instead of letting us use the restroom. And that's truthfully only the tip of the iceberg, which is
Yep, they put diapers on you. Sounds like who? Right?
Deeply saddening, but those are, just a few things that come to mind.
Let me see Leanne Roberts, please. Leanne went to this camp at just 12 years old. Praise the Lord, she's alive. The damage and the trauma and the emotional problems it's caused her, that's a whole nother can of worms. But she's alive. So she lives to fight another day. She lives to deal with what happened at Trails, Carolina. This little boy didn't live. 12 years old, pale, frail, upset, having panic attacks, and he dies within 24 hours of going to this camp.
How does this happen?
This is camp season, parents. Wake up. Be alert. Leanne Roberts, you stated that when you got there, you had to be strip searched, that you were not given bathroom breaks, that the campers were told to wear adult diapers so they could urinate and defecate in their pants. Why?
I mean, they would have all these kind of like safety reasons. They didn't really have an excuse for the diapers other than it was our fault for drinking so much water and not managing it, which is ridiculous because if you gotta go, you gotta go. But the strip searching, you know, they say it's to make sure you don't have anything dangerous on you, but they take away everything you come in with. And I genuinely do believe
They want to strip you down of anything that you come in with, right? Anything that can give you comfort, remind you of home, anything that makes, you know, you. And to me, that sounds just like Chris as well, right? Throwing your shit out on the in the garbage to demoralize, demean, and break you in every way. Yes. Yeah. We got an interesting live coming up next as well. Right?
believe that it's, you know, a way to strip you of your individuality and maybe any comfort you have going in. You're dressed all the same as the other children. You don't have anything that, you know, like I said, is comforting or makes you feel safe, or, you know, you're just kind of stripped down to the bone.
Sad.
You mentioned the strip search. You're describing that. Guys, I doubt all of you parents experience this if and when you got to go to camp. We got to go to camp at 4-H camp, and I remember
Yes, she went to 4-H camp too.
my parents trying to get together the money to go to 4-H camp. It was $37 for each child to go to 4-H camp. And we got to go.
I mean, people get loans because they promise, you know, these parents that this is going to change them, right? And they make this website, in my opinion, that makes it look so good, so promising. Oh, look at the reviews. My kid came out of this a new kid, you know. Come on. I mean, parents that are struggling anyways get loans for tens of thousands of dollars or spend their savings on this because they don't know what to do, right? And they think
But
this is the answer.
it was a wonderful, fun experience. The only time
When, in my opinion, you're just sending your kids off with strangers who you don't know any of them, right? And just because they don't have a background that says they're a criminal or a RSO doesn't mean they're not. You got to remember there's more people that are RSOs that have never been caught, that have never been to jail, that don't have to register, than you can ever think about that has actually been caught. Serenity, thank you so much, my dear, for your support. Really do appreciate it. Oops, let me find this right here. There we go. I went to camp every summer as a kid, way back, but then it was good and fun place to go. Yeah, I went to camp. I went to 4-H camp. But nowadays, I there's no way in hell. There is no way in hell that I would, I think like a local camp, you know what I mean? That's one thing to maybe consider, but some camp where you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars where they are only considering the profit, the bottom line. That's in my opinion, the only thing that these big ass camps care about. A local camp, where you might know the community, some of the workers or whatever, maybe consider that. I can understand parents. I went to a local 4-H camp. It was great. Had the time of my life every summer. This, I'm not so sure about.
Time each year that I would be
Thank you
away
for that,
from
Serenity.
home overnight. What you are hearing happened. This happened. There's no doubt about it. A little boy is
Yeah.
dead tonight after just 24 hours at this camp. It's not just at Trails Carolina that this is happening. As a matter of fact, take a listen to a victim that managed to survive the Provo Canyon school.
The first thing that they said to me was, "You're going to need to be strip searched." And so they took me to this room filled with 5 or 6 staff in there. Yeah, I had to remove all my clothes. They had to thoroughly examine my body. They asked me to do very strange things.
This camp is was a camp called Trails Carolina Wilderness. They have been stripped of their
While I was naked, they asked me to
as of May.
bend over, touch my toes. I had to spread everything apart. I was told to squat and
You hear the trauma in this girl's voice? This is lasting.
cough, and they had me do that repeatedly for a few minutes while
Yes,
the staff
Nicola,
members
that's what I
laughed
said earlier,
and
yeah.
made jokes.
So crazy, man. Just so crazy.
Found dead 24 hours after going to Trails Carolina camp, a therapeutic wellness camp for children and teens. Did his parents have any idea what?
Yeah, with that, and that's a good point, Spirit Miss. With that, thousands of dollars that you're going to be paying, half the time the kid don't even get a bed. Right? They sleep on the ground in a bivvy.
Really went on at that camp before they sent him. I've heard many true life traumatic stories about how children are basically kidnapped. The parents know what's happening, but the child doesn't know it's about to go to a camp, and they are just taken away, and they end up at a camp, a wellness camp or a boot camp for children and teens. Joining me, Meg Applegate, co-founder, CEO, Unsilenced, victim of troubled teen industry, author of Becoming Unsilenced, Surviving and Fighting the Troubled Teen Industry. And you can find her at unsilenced.org.
Exactly.
Meg, thank you for being with us. A death, as if a strip search and malnourishment, beatings, hazings, adult diapers, as if that's not enough. Now, Meg, a death of a 12-year-old boy at camp.
Right. And it's very, very sad. And unfortunately,
Second
we're not
death
all
since
that
this camp was
surprised.
opened.
We understand that this little boy was not delivered to the camp by his
Second death, but I also wonder how many has came close to it, to death as well.
parents. That two strangers took him. How does that work?
Yeah, so we call that an escort service, or a lot of people call that gooning. It's basically when you're woken up, usually in the middle of the
Listen to
night,
this.
you're told that you're coming with them. A lot of times you're asked to undress in front of them, asked to go to the bathroom in front of them, and then you're escorted from your home to wherever you're going to be going.
Now, what did you say the phrase to describe it is?
Yes, Stephanie.
Many people call it gooning.
Gooning is what they call it.
Gooning. G as in gregarious, O-O-N. Gooning, correct?
That's correct.
Gooning. Okay. That evokes nothing but a semblance of fear, of terror to get gooned. I mean, what do you mean gooned?
I mean, it's pretty much how it feels. Myself, I was gooned as well. And it's so incredibly traumatic that it sticks with you for the rest of your life. It's truly like you're being kidnapped.
What happened to you exactly?
So I was woken up around 2 a.m. by these two strangers. They said, "You're coming with us, and we can do this the easy way or the hard way." And
See?
they indicated
Oh, yeah,
that
easy way or the hard way.
was going to be in handcuffs. So I listened, and they basically made me undress in front of them, go to the bathroom, threw me into the back of an SUV, and we were off to LAX and off to my first program.
To Nick Oxner joining us, Chief Investigative Reporter, WBTV. He has been
really
investigating Trails Carolina since 2021, and there's a reason for that. This guy, Nick Oxner, doesn't just...
Francis is late. Francis, to the office, please. You're being paged. Francis, to the office, please. You're being paged. We need a late slip for Francis, please. Good to see you, Francis.
Just get up your tail.
Guys, after this, I'll be live about Sebastian Rogers. Interesting
Pipe
things.
for no reason. Nick, again, thank you for being with us. How do the children, the teens, get to Trails Carolina? Because I noticed immediately this little boy, and we are withholding his name, the little boy that ends up dead without his pants on in the middle of the night, he did not get escorted there by his parents. They didn't take him to camp and drop him off like in, what is it? The Parent Trap. Remember that? Lindsay Lohan is taken by the butler, I think it is, and by the dad. And it's wonderful. It's not like that. What is gooning? Are you
Definitely not
familiar
the
with
Parent
that,
Trap.
Nick?
Yeah, just about every former participant at Trails Carolina that I've spoken with.
Been
and I've talked
searching
to more than a half
about
dozen
this
of
since
them.
2021.
Just about everybody was gooned or transported to the camp. And I'll tell you, the very few that I've talked to who weren't had a slightly less traumatic start to their camping experience. But it's exactly as I've heard it. Luckily, I never had to experience this. But as I understand it, it's exactly like what we just heard Meg describe. These strangers come to your house, you're woken up in the middle of the night and taken, whisked away unexpectedly by these strangers, far away. Think about this boy came from New York City to the wilderness of...
I don't think so. Crafting and true crime. I think there has been foul play in Sebastian's, in my opinion. I don't think so. I really don't. I think they would have some sort of evidence of him being at these camps or anything like this. Sugar Plum, you are so sweet to me. Thank you so much for gifting 5 pearl necklaces. If 1 second, because we got some paperwork to do. Are y'all ready to get on the subway? Beep, beep, mother chickens.
This is a Brooklyn-bound 2 express train. The next stop is
Beep, beep.
Fulton Street.
Beep, beep.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
To the lesser fight, my body aches to be satisfied. My weakness
Thank you so much, Sugar Plum, for gifting 5 pearl necklaces. If you received one of those pearl necklaces, please thank our beloved and sweet Sugar Plum. Thank you so much, Sugar Plum. And your applications have been approved. Congratulations. Okay, I will make Chica. Gotcha.
North Carolina. I've been out to the site of the Trails Carolina camp, and let me tell you, it's nothing like New York City.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Karen Stark joining me, renowned psychologist, TV, radio trauma expert, consultant, and you can find her at Karen Stark.
I got this email from Reddit, and it states, I was in Trails, meaning Trails, Carolina, in 2014. I was 12 at the time. I remember there was some staff who used to carry thumbtacks between their fingers to smack us with if they didn't like something that was happening. Generally, just the younger kids who couldn't be any threat to them. When I got out, I remember my parents saying, wow, you sure got some bug bites, but they were small scars from tacks. As anyone else experienced something like this or similar at Trails or other programs, I eventually picked up an infection because of it. They took me to the doctor and I said I was messing with old nails. Wow. They would get thumbtacks, like, because they would probably just barely get, put them between your finger, and they would smack you with them, allegedly. According to this person who was there in 2014 when she was 12. Unbelievable. Yes. I'll tell you what.
.com, and that's Karen with a C, in case you're looking for her. Karen Stark, you need to write the book on panic attacks because you've done so many case studies on that. But this little boy gets gooned, as Meg Applegate is describing it. And Karen, I spoke to you about this when it occurred. Friends of our children got gooned and were taken to a camp across the country. And the girl got to take one pair of underwear and one toothbrush. She had no idea that was going to happen. And Karen, that right there, this little 12-year-old boy was having panic attacks. I guess he was. At 12 years old, that's just a baby for Pete's sake.
This kid was from New York, by the way, that died.
What is a panic attack? And I'm getting to something probative, Karen Stark. I ask you all of these psychological questions because I want to prove something. I want to prove something that I can take in front of a jury. This boy, by all accounts, was having panic attacks. Okay. He should have been watched even more closely that night, but instead he ends up dead. So what is a panic attack and what would the symptoms be, Karen Stark?
When you have a panic attack, Nancy, you are feeling like you're having a heart attack. And many of my patients describe that because your heart is racing, your breathing isn't regular. It's very, very frightening. And people don't understand that it's something that will pass, that your body is reacting to trauma. And when you think about, and you've made some good points, this little boy, he's being taken off all of.
This says when the investigators arrived, they found the 12-year-old boy lying on the floor of the bunkhouse, naked from the waist down, with his pants and underwear on the floor to his right shoulder. When they questioned counselors, they said they did not know what happened. An examination of the boy led investigators to question if he ingested some type of poison. A full investigation has been conducted. We now know that this is a homicide. This was from back in February. Records explain a little more of the timeline. The boy had arrived at the camp less than 24 hours of his death. 1 second, please. This fan's killing me. The boy had arrived less than 24 hours of his death. The 12-year-old, identified in the warrants by his initials, refused dinner at the camp. Okay, I remember this. He refused dinner at the camp, and he was loud and irate when he arrived, according to the counselors told detective. The boy did eat some snacks later that evening. He stayed in the bunkhouse that detectives describe as a squared structure made out of wood. According to the detectives, Trails Carolina protocol dictated that the boy would have to sleep on the floor of the bunkhouse the first night. The records indicate the base layer is a heavy plastic that is cut approximately 6 feet and tied on each end with a string. On the top is a sleeping bivvy, which is a small tent. One side is collapsed and the other side is held up with a flexible pole. A sleeping bag is inside the bivvy. On the zipper of the bivvy is a small alarm that goes off when you exit. The device was seized, among other items. Around midnight, the boy began to experience a panic attack, according to the detective warrants. The two counselors stood along the wall. They told detectives the boy experienced panic attacks and high anxiety, but according to the warrants, didn't mention if they attempted to assist him. They didn't mention if so were they just standing there looking while the child is having a panic attack? The counselors did mention to detectives the boy could exit the bivvy at any time, but when he described it to detectives, they kept saying, "We would open or close the bivvy." So I'm not even sure if he could get out of the bivvy or not. Tammy, thank you so much, my dear. Love you, Justin. Keep up the good work. You're amazing. Oh, thank you, my dear. Appreciate you. Oh, hey, Misty. How are you, dear? Justin had to say some love. Yes, and we won't stop. I'll be live about Sebastian right after this. I'll be speaking about this. Thank you, my dear. We'll speak about that after this. So but this is very important because this is part of the timeline. They didn't mention if they assisted him. The counselor did mention to detectives that the boy could exit the bivvy at any time. But okay, I already read that part. The detectives, they kept saying we would open and close the bivvy. They said the boy was checked at midnight, 3 a.m., and 6 a.m. This is very important what I'm about to say. The counselors said that the boy was checked at midnight, at 3 a.m., and at 6 a.m., and was found dead at 7:45 a.m. when he was cold to the touch and stiff. There was no way, in my opinion, and I have worked at funeral homes, right, that this kid was alive at 6 a.m. There is no way. Absolutely no way You are not cold to the touch an hour and 45 minutes later. You're not cold to the touch. No, you're not. In my opinion, something happened around midnight whenever he was experiencing anywhere from midnight to 2 o'clock. That child had to have been passed before that. What is wrong with these people? Did they just let this kid thrash in this bivy and die? Just they stand at the wall and let this kid die? What is wrong with him? I don't know, Carmelita. It's very possible. It's very possible. Nothing would surprise me. But you can't say you checked on him at midnight, 3 a.m., and 6 a.m. Listen, it takes a while for your body to cool down. You're like a thermos, right? 98 degrees at all times, right? Around about, give or take. And it takes a long time for you to fully become cold to the touch. They claimed that they checked the boy at midnight, 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. and found him dead at 7:45, an hour and 45 minutes later, when he was cold to the touch and stiff. Nope. Nope. If you're cold to the touch and stiff, you have been there for a while. Quite a while. The counselors needed their thug sleep. Yeah. Right, Toby, right. If I remember, the children that were in the same cabin were not available. Yep. Yep. No one would really speak to the law enforcement much after they started the investigation there. Detectives say they attempted to gain information on 4 juveniles in the bunkhouse. Trails Carolina staff refused to allow them to speak with any juveniles on site, as well as see them. They also refused to give out any names, date of births, or other information. Transylvania County Department of Social Services, according to the search warrants, attempted to check on the welfare of the children and were met with the same refusal, according to detectives. DSS was provided with DSS was provided with first names of the juveniles, but nothing else, the document claimed. Trails Carolina refused to disclose the whereabouts of juveniles that came. The camp has 4 locations, 3 in the mountains of North Carolina and the other in South Carolina. Investigators seized 20 items, among them including laptop computers, files, photos, name tags from bulletin boards, file employees, a sleeping bag, the boys' belongings, and a binder. According to the statement of Trails Carolina released February 8th, 2024, this is their statement, quote, Trails staff initiated life-saving efforts and called EMS, and the sheriff and our staff have fully cooperated, even though they're not speaking, allegedly at this time, with law enforcement investigating voluntarily presenting themselves from interviews and law enforcement and other public related agencies. Any assertion to the contrary is false, reckless, and defamatory. No other students were involved in any way, and all students were moved immediately so to minimize the impact on them. Our students have cooperated to the extent authorized by their parents. Trails Carolina said, quote, Trails has not been made aware of any suspicious preliminary findings by the medical examiner. That was back in February. This is now a homicide. Tammy, oh my goodness, Tammy, thank you so much. Thank you, my dear. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know what happens if we gift 5 or more memberships? Get on the subway. Let's go.
This is a Brooklyn-bound 2 express train. The next stop is Fulton Street.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
To the lesser fight, my body aches to be satisfied. My weakness comes and goes. My weakness comes and goes.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for gifting 5 memberships. If you received one of those pearl necklaces, please thank our beloved Tammy. Thank you so much, Tammy. Really do appreciate it. Oh, Ben is in here. Hey, Ben. Thank you so much. Ben just gifted 5 pearl necklaces. Hold on. Let me find my button here. I guess we got a long ride today. Get on the train again.
This is a Brooklyn-bound 2 express train. The next
Beep,
stop
beep,
is
mother chickens.
Fulton Street.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
To the lesser fight, my body aches to be satisfied. My weakness comes and goes. My weakness comes and goes.
Thank you, Ben George, for gifting 5 pearl necklaces. Really do appreciate it. Good to see you, Ben. Hope you are well. Yes. Beep, beep, mother chickens. This is really, really sad. And despite parents sending their kids there, they really do think that they're doing the best interest of their children, right? It sounds good. It costs a lot of money. And there's just so much trauma with these kids that have went to these places. And it all it does is break the parents, break financially, it breaks the kids emotionally. And then there's been 2 deaths. Something happened to this child long before 7:45 a.m., in my opinion. Justin, I just said with the stories with a bunch of people who were gooned to the camp. Oh, yeah. I just read something from Reddit a moment ago where they said that they would put thumbtacks between their fingers, because a thumbtack is really, not that big, and they would smack the kids with it. Justin, do you know who Bernie Wagon Blast is? I bet I could get her to do a personal message for you. I don't. I apologize, Eve. I don't know who that is, but I can look it up. Oh, I can look it up. It's hard to even imagine anyone working there. I mean, this is the thing. You would have to be, in my opinion, someone that is okay with abusing these children to do stuff like that. And I mean, listen, they said that they had a hard time staffing people. Well, no wonder, right? No wonder these people get off. I think they do. I think they literally enjoy watching them be in pain. And, you know, it kind of, in my opinion, reminds you of Chris Proudfoot, because he stripped everything of Sebastian's, everything that he liked. It was, if it was a snake, they stripped it. If it was a cat, his 2 cats, they got rid of it. If his room wasn't you know, up to their standards, they would throw it out, throw his stuff out. And you have no idea who these people, you have no idea their backgrounds. And like I said, just because people, you know, may not be an RSO on paper doesn't mean they're not an RSO, right? There's more people out there that have not been caught, unfortunately, than have been caught. Okay, thank you. Bernie Wagon Blast is a transportation journalist, radio personality, and voiceover artist. She is founder of the Transportation Communication Letter. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I'll read on that. It's very interesting. Okay. All right, cool. Cool. Hello, Lamala. How are you doing? Good to see you. Paris Hilton just testified before Congress about these camps. Yes, she's doing a lot. If you, Paris Hilton did a documentary a couple of years ago, speaking just about her trauma, how she was, you know, they came in, her 2 men, strong men. She does train announcements, I think. Oh, really? Stand clear of the closing doors, please. That's what it sounds like. Or used to sound like in the UK. Stand clear of the closing doors, please. I used to babysit for kids. Really? That's interesting. Stand clear of the closing doors. All right. So we're going to not lay off this case. We are going to continually speak about it and continually cover it. I do plan on doing a live next on Sebastian Rogers case. There is an interesting interview that we're going to be covering that happened. So it'll be this channel. It'll be this channel. I'll be live in about 30 minutes from now. I haven't even scheduled it. So, but I will be scheduling it, and I'll be live in about 30 minutes from now. Okay? All right, guys. Love you all. Appreciate you, and I will see you guys very shortly. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Really do. Yep. Hey, Maurice. Exactly. All right, guys. Love you. See you guys in a little bit. Bye-bye.